Hey everybody, I'm Isaac Duranlo, your host of Untitled Lines. I just wanted to preface this interview by saying that the opinions expressed in it are not necessarily my opinions or the opinions of Untitled Lines. I hope you enjoy it. Hello everybody, today I'm here with the Salerno brothers and they've agreed to answer a couple questions. One of the differences between a place like Maine or Ontario and where you guys hunt in the Adirondacks is the fact that there is no logging. Can you explain to the audience the differences and challenges of hunting in an area without logging?
Yeah, in the Adirondacks, as you know, we hunt predominantly state land, which is no logging whatsoever. And that's a rule that the state has abided by for many years. Some of the areas we hunt have been logged in like the 1800s, early 1900s. But for the most part, you'll find mature growth trees. And also comparing that to logging areas like Maine and Ontario, you have many more wood roads which people travel, which to me is a lot more, let's say, hunters that travel roads looking for tracks. Our style of hunting is to go into the woods and what some people call bushwhacking, not even using a trail, and picking up a deer track of a deer that is in its natural state back in the woods where we find them. And when you're hunting logging roads, to me, it's actually more confusing because I go from one logging road to another because I have hunted New Brunswick, and my style of hunting in the Adirondacks is to get on a track of a deer, take it for many, many miles, whatever it takes. And not only do I enjoy tracking the deer, but I enjoy being back in the woods where there isn't logging. I just feel like it's a natural state and it's more of a challenge for a hunter to hunt that way.
Other than the essentials of guns and ammo, what is the one tool you guys will never go into the woods without?
I have a tool that I wear around my neck called a grunt tube. It's a deer call that has been magic for me and my family and my brothers. And as a matter of fact, this past season I caught a couple of bucks by using the grunt tube effectively. And that is the one tool that I would say is always around my neck, and I never want to forget.
When scouting, it is essential to begin with maps in order to narrow down large sections of terrain into more manageable areas to hunt. With such a massive territory like the Adirondacks, are there any specific scouting tactics that you use to begin to hone in on giant whitetails?
Yes. What we do, and I want to teach this to all the young hunters. When you start out as a whitetail hunter, the first thing you need to start out with is a topo map. And you need to have a topo map of the area that you're hunting, get familiar with it, study it, learn the names of the mountains, learn the names of the streams, learn your compass bearings, north and south and east and west on that topo map. Then, when you're familiar with the map, then you go into the woods and you walk along those streams, and that's where you start all your scouting of the white-tailed deer, because that's where the white-tailed deer has to drink. The fawns, the mothers, big bucks. So that's your best focal point, where to start, and then you get your cameras in there and you will be amazed what's in there. And that's why we came out with this DVD right here. It's tips and tactics, and in here has some great stuff in here to help you get started as a whitetail hunter.
I've read that some trackers believe if a buck is jumped from a bed, it is best to abandon tracking that deer because it is spooked. What are your opinions on this matter?
No, the Salerno brothers never give up tracking a buck. No matter if it's 1 mile, 2 miles, 3 miles back in the woods, we never give up, and we always take that buck. And if you wound a buck, too, you always do your best to retrieve that buck.
And to elaborate a little more on that, just because you're tracking a buck that you've spooked and is continually ahead of you, doesn't mean you have to give up on it, because there's always the next day when you can come back in and pick up that track again.
One question that I've heard mentioned a lot over the course of this weekend is the effect wind can have on hunting. Some hunters are concerned about how their scent will travel on the wind while others are not. How much attention do you pay to the wind?
The wind is very important. Every day before I go into the woods, what I do is I watch the Weather Channel, and I know which way the wind is going to move that day. And then when I'm in the woods, I pay attention to the wind. And if you're tracking a big buck, you have to be downwind of the big buck's nose. So meaning, if you're tracking a buck, if you think he's better than a certain area, you always have to be downwind so he cannot scent you when you're trying to sneak up and see him.
And finally, as hunters, we all make mistakes, and those can be our best learning experiences. Over your years of hunting, is there a certain mistake that stands out above the others that taught you a valuable lesson?
Yes, one of the biggest tips that I could help hunters is when you're still hunting in the woods, every time that you stop to listen, stop behind a small tree so that it breaks up your silhouette, and number two, you can brace your gun and get the greatest possible shot at that whitetail buck.
And one of the mistakes that I used to make, being younger and more energetic, was to travel in a straight line when hunting deer and see a mountain and think that I've got to get to that mountain in a certain amount of time. Over the years, as I've gained experience, I've learned that zigzagging, moving left and right, and not traveling in a straight line is more beneficial.
Okay, thank you guys very much. You guys can check out the Salerno brothers on their website, and also make sure to look at their DVDs. Thank you guys.
Thank you.
Thank you, Isaac.